Welcome to Diplomacy in Mongolia, where we'll explore the dynamics of Mongolia's diplomatic engagements with its neighboring and partner countries. We'll delve into the relationships that define the nation's foreign affairs, providing a balanced and straightforward perspective on interactions between Mongolia and its neighbors. Today's episode highlights the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the Swiss Confederation and Mongolia. Join us as we spotlight the recent visits, cooperation, and shared interests that define interactions between our two nations. A ceremony commemorating the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and the Swiss Confederation was held on May 20th at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia Batsitsik and President of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Federal Assembly of Switzerland, Laurent Werley, attended to celebrate the anniversary of establishing diplomatic relations and delivered greetings. Mongolia and the Swiss Confederation have developed friendly relations and cooperation since establishing diplomatic relations on May 22nd of 1964. Based on shared values such as democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, the two countries have actively cooperated in many economic and social fields. Good morning and welcome to Diplomacy in Mongolia. Today in our program we have Ambassador, Vice Director General of Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, Mr. Arnaud Wicki. Arnaud Wicki is Assistant Director General of the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation and head of the Asia, Latin America and Caribbean Division. Ambassador Wicki grew up in Grosswangen and obtained his baccalaureate at the upper secondary level school in Surse. He earned a licentiate degree in political science from the University of Lausanne and master's degree in international relations in the United States and Spain. He began his diplomatic career in the United Nations in New York, Haiti, Bern, Madrid, and Geneva. From 2018 to 2022, Mr. Wicki was Switzerland's ambassador to Chile. Good morning, Ambassador. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Good morning, Solonga. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you very much. Let's start our interview by sharing about your purpose of visit to Mongolia.
The main three objectives of my visit are: number one, to celebrate our 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Switzerland and Mongolia. And for that reason, we had the president of our Foreign Affairs Committee of the Swiss Parliament with us, and we had nice celebrations together with the Foreign Minister of Mongolia to celebrate and commemorate this important anniversary. The second big reason was to see and assess our programs, our activities of Swiss Development Cooperation in Mongolia, and to see the good results that we achieved. The program in Mongolia, in my view, is probably the best one in the world, and we are very happy about these results. The third reason was to have political meetings, including meetings at the Parliament, the Constitutional Court, with the government, to see how our relationship should evolve, and also signing new agreements of cooperation. And on a personal note, it was my first visit to this beautiful country, Mongolia.
Well, you have just mentioned that you have signed the agreement on cooperation. What will be the key areas of the cooperation?
We identified two main areas for the time being. The one area is the cooperation between our two democratic parliaments, the Swiss and Mongolian parliament. We already have a long-standing collaboration between the two institutions, and we decided to continue this. And for that, we had a signing ceremony to be able to continue this cooperation between the two institutions. The second one is the cooperation with the Constitutional Court of Mongolia and Swiss judiciary institutions. That's a new activity. The main purpose there is to strengthen also the court system of Mongolia.
Looking back for the past 20 years, Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation was quite active in Mongolia. And could you share with us about the key areas of focus of the operation of the Swiss Agency for Development?
Yeah, the last 20 years of our cooperation was a journey together between Mongolia and Switzerland. And in that sense, it's important to see the stages of this cooperation. We came to Mongolia in 2001 as a result of the terrible droughts that you had at that time, in order to support the herders that were very much affected by this natural disaster. Based on that, we decided in 2004 to have a full-fledged program here in Mongolia with the main focus again on the herders and the rural population, to help them to cope with the environmental risks, to improve the animal health, the management of pastures, and to, at the end, also to help the local population to access public services. From there, we took it on a more institutional level and have developed many activities in the area of local governance. How does the government work, not just here in Ulaanbaatar, but in all the provinces? We worked on decentralization. How can we empower the people all over the country? And I think we did many good work together in this transition of Mongolia from a rather centralized country to a modern democracy. And finally, we then had very strategic work together with the big institution of this country at the highest level in terms of, for example, supporting the parliament to be more accessible, to improve the participation of the citizens in the democratic processes. And that's also the basis for our future cooperation with Mongolia.
There have been a lot of work done for the past 20 years. Can you share with our viewers about the extent of investment made from the Swiss part to Mongolia?
It was a big financial commitment. Alone, the bilateral program is totaling more than $250 million US. Over 350 projects of different sizes that we implemented. To that, of course, you have to add our commitment to the international development banks or multilateral development banks like the World Bank or Asian Development Bank, where Switzerland also contributes funding and expertise that then these institutions also implement in Mongolia. But that is a bit the extent of our engagement. What you have to see, it's like a puzzle of many activities in order to have really a comprehensive strengthening of the institutions of Mongolia. And that has been, as I said at the onset, a very ambitious program that evolved over time, but also very successful.
Mm-hmm. Mongolia is considered a young democracy located in a very unique location, geographical location between two major countries. And what kind of works will be implemented in the future to boost Mongolia's democracy, human rights, and civil education?
Yeah, at the end, the position of Mongolia as a landlocked country between big neighbors is not so different from Switzerland. We are also a landlocked countries, and that's why we have so much in common. Of course, we had different historic experiences. Switzerland had a very tough experience, of course, also during the Second World War and First World War in Europe. And Mongolia also has had its challenges now in the region. In the future, I think we should continue working at the institutional level. I mentioned to you briefly the cooperation between the parliaments. I think this can be extended between the courts, and generally the political and diplomatic relations between our two countries will continue to be strengthened. There, I'm very convinced about it. And Switzerland is also committed to further deepen our relationship, more at the strategic level and political level than at the project level that we have been doing for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm. This year is like the last year of the SDC here in Mongolia. SDC is resuming its operation. Do you think SDC has managed to achieve all the goals and aims that it wanted to achieve? Mm-hmm. And what is the primary reason behind resuming operation here in Mongolia?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I start with your second question. The main reason has not much to do with Mongolia itself. It's more a decision to focus the resources of the Swiss Development Corporation in countries that are not doing well, in countries that are in war or where the population is really suffering. And of course, that also has to do with the success story of Mongolia, that it doesn't need so much financial support as other countries. So what we are doing right now, and that actually was decided before COVID, we are closing our offices here, but we still continue the cooperation. So it's not the end. I have to stress that. We are interested in continuing with projects, but the actual project team here that office will be closed. And to answer your first question, I think yes, as I said in the beginning, we are having here probably the most successful program that we've had all around the world. In that sense, I think we achieved much more than we ever thought.
This year is very unique because it marks the 60th anniversary between Switzerland and Mongolia. Could you share with us what kind of activities, cultural or other activities are planned throughout this year?
We had a very active year, and it involved cultural events. We had, for example, also a photo exhibit that we just presented in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We had a lovely stamp, a postal stamp, in honor of this celebration. That was kindly done by the Postal Services of Mongolia. And together with the
postal stamp is here.
Yeah, exactly. I can also show it to our viewers. Exactly. This is the stamp.
That we have inaugurated
the day before yesterday.
Yes.
And actually it represents on one hand a Mongolian flute player, yes, and a Swiss alphorn player, both in front of the background of our mountains that we both share. So the main idea is that Mongolia, to show that Mongolia and Switzerland is basically sharing also on the cultural side many common characteristics. And then with the central bank of Mongolia, the central bank kindly printed and produced a banknote, a silver banknote, again with common motives. Here the main motive is what we call in German Edelweiss. I don't know the Mongolian name of it, our national flower that you also have here in Mongolia.
In the mountainous area.
And the mountains area that basically characterize our countries. So we are extremely thankful to both institutions, the Postal Services of Mongolia and the Central Bank of Mongolia, that are behind this initiative, and we are very proud of that. We also inaugurated a nice exhibit in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and have also other cultural activities. One important element that I would like to mention is that our president, Viola Amherd, she will come to Mongolia in early August for a state visit, which of course marks then the highlight of this anniversary.
Well, when we were preparing for this interview, we have learned that you have a very extensive career in foreign relations, and you have worked in the United Nations. And as our program is called Diplomacy in Mongolia, maybe you can share with us about the pros and cons of being a diplomat. What kind of advice would you give to young diplomats who are like going into this sector of foreign relations?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would like to say that if you're interested in this type of work, follow your interest. Try to invest all what you have to achieve your goals. Then keep an open spirit, because if you travel far, you need to understand other cultures, and try to be very professional. Try to look for excellence. That always helps. What could be the disadvantages of a job like that is, of course, you have to leave your country and your family. That's not always easy. And you saw it, for example, with the COVID pandemic. Then you're suddenly far away and you cannot travel, and that, of course, is not always easy. And you always have to go from country to country. You have to readapt. So I think an important characteristic of a diplomat is to be open and adaptive to new situations.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for sharing insights about Mongolia and Switzerland relations to our viewers.
Thank you for the interview, and I wish obviously the viewers all the best from Switzerland. And I think what really characterized our work here in Mongolia is a very strong partnership between Mongolia and Switzerland, which I would even call friendship.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. That was the new episode of Diplomacy in Mongolia. We'll see you next time with more stories on Mongolia's collaborations, exchanges, and shared interests with its foreign partners.